Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, a couple of days ago, Teofimo Lopez challenged Terence Crawford to a potential fight. He's interested in moving up to 147 pounds. And of course, they had their whole back and forth last night. Terence Crawford and Teofimo Lopez. I agree. I don't think that's a great fight for him. Just like I didn't think it was a great fight for the gentleman that we were about to talk about, Devin Haney. Now, we know Devin Haney has also talked about moving up to 147 pounds. But Bill Haney decided that he was going to take to, I'm assuming that this was his social media, to respond to Teofimo Lopez and his desire to face Terence Crawford. Now, Bill Haney feels similar to us, that that's not a fight that Teofimo Lopez truly wants. I think that's bad for his health and bad for his career. I don't think that's something he should do. But I want to react to what Bill Haney had to say in regards to this, because I thought it was quite interesting, as I think most things that come out of Bill Haney's mouth these days is quite interesting. So let me go ahead and play this clip very quickly, Jay, and we'll come back and react to it.
Teofimo Lopez, if you don't knock it off talking about you want Bud Crawford. I just seen you and your daddy, and y'all yelled, why didn't we offer you $20 million? So you can imagine what you'd be talking about to fight Bud Crawford. Listen, act like you got some sense. You hear that money counter in the background. Act like you got some sense, and we can make Haney versus Lopez for that 140-pound unification. Yeah, baby. Act like you got some sense. And stop talking about Bud Crawford. You don't want none of Bud Crawford, and you don't deserve none. Knock it off. Talk like you got some sense.
All right, that was Bill Haney. So let's react to that, Jay. So first and foremost, he talks about Teofimo Lopez and the fact that Teofimo Lopez mentioned to him, why didn't you offer me the $20 million? It's really hard to know what that means without being there to understand the context in which he said. He could have been absolutely serious about it in terms of why didn't you offer me the $20 million? He could have also been facetious in a sense where he's basically saying, why didn't you offer me the $20 million? As though, you guys really didn't even offer Gervonta Davis $20 million. Basically, calling him out. It depends. I don't know what the context was in terms of what it was that he said. Now, so I'm kind of dismissing that. And the whole comment about, that's the money machine in the background. I mean, what are you counting up all your ones that you're going to the strip club with? I mean, what was the relevance of that? Anyway,
got money.
No, man. Anyway, but I think that's a legitimate fight. Now, of course, we know that Teofimo Lopez is currently locked into a fight with Jermaine Ortiz, so that fight is not going to happen next. But I would love for that fight to happen. Now, we hadn't heard really Devin Haney talking about Teofimo as much. Here recently, he was talking more about Gervonta Davis. But certainly we've heard him talk about Teofimo Lopez in the past. Teofimo seems to be more interested in a fight with Devin Haney today than he was back in the day. And of course, that is because Devin Haney's profile has risen as far as I'm concerned. I think his profile has risen substantially. So I think that's an interesting fight. And when Bill Haney says, get your mind right, in my opinion, what he's referring to is unrealistic expectations from Teofimo Lopez. We've seen Teofimo, regardless of what context Teofimo was asking or saying the $20 million. At the end of the day, we've seen him make unrealistic comments and have unrealistic expectations, right? So I agree with Bill in that regard. And I guess it would be questionable who would be the A side between he and Devin. I would lean toward Devin being the A side, in my opinion, but I can also see the argument for Teofimo being the A side because he beat Josh Taylor, and he is now the lineal champion at 140 pounds. So I would also argue to Bill Haney that they also need to be realistic in order to make this fight. Jay, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, bottom line, all parties need to be realistic. Bill Haney was spitting some truth about saying that, he don't want no parts of Bud. And you saw how when they mentioned Bud to Bill and Devin a little while back, they avoided that question as well. So neither one of those gentlemen want any pieces of Bud to smoke with Bud. It'll be bad for him, real bad for him. as far as Bill goes, he's very entertaining still. Sometimes annoying, but for the most part, entertaining. And he's doing what he's supposed to do as a promoter. That's his son. He's promoting his son the best way he can,
Facts.
and he's putting the name out there. And like to your point, Devin stock has risen. Teo had all these other reasons why he wouldn't fight Devin at 135. How he's just trying to be like him and all this stuff there. Got mad at Devin pretty much for disposing of Kambosos twice and beating Loma. He threw some shade on him on that. I know they've had some sparring bouts back in the day. Nothing big, but they do have some type of history, so they're going to use that to hype up their potential fight if they were to fight. And I think it'll be a real good fight, depending on how Teo looks against Jermaine Ortiz. We'll be able to see what he looks like against Devin Haney. I mean, Devin's very smart, very slick fighter, but if the Teo that shows up against Josh Taylor shows up against Jermaine Ortiz and eventually against Devin Haney, that'll be a hell of a fight. That'll be the best Teo that we have ever seen, I believe. Just like the Devin Haney that showed up against Regis Prograis, although Regis was more tailor-made for him, he was on point. He was super laser focused. That would be a hell of a fight with that type of Devin. So, I mean, I would definitely look for a unification bout between those two. I don't know if it'll happen, just because of the way Teo moves, and to your point, which one's going to be the A side, you can make an argument for either or on that, leaning maybe 52-48 on one side or the other, where you go for Devin or you go for Teo, probably more so Teo, because Teo brings more of a knockouts and everyone loves knockouts. So it's going to have a lot more people wanting to see that versus Devin, who's going to outbox you. But that'd be a great thing. But one thing I want to see from either one of them after this Jermaine Ortiz fight, I want to see him fight the Boogeyman as well. I want a Boogeyman. Sabrina Matias in there, man. Because Devin doesn't have a date right now, to your point. Like you said, Teo's fighting Jermaine Ortiz. And Jermaine Ortiz and Teo have history together. They fought in the amateurs, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't looked up who won, but Teo didn't say it. Teo won't reveal who won that fight between the two of them. But Jermaine doesn't sound like he's a easy task, because when he talked about fighting Bud in a tweet, Jermaine's like, that's going to be his excuse after I knock his A out. So Jermaine ain't coming to lay down. I don't think Jermaine's going to beat him, but I think it's going to be an entertaining fight because Jermaine does have some boxing IQ and boxing skills, as he showed against Lomachenko. He's just never fought in a 12-round fight outside of that one fight with Lomachenko, and you saw his gas tank get emptied in that one. So, but we got some entertaining fights, so hopefully we'll see this year at 140.
Absolutely. I would love to see this fight get made. Bill and Devin, mostly Bill, talking a whole lot about the opportunities for Devin. We did a video yesterday. Devin got options. This is not an option that we mentioned, but because I don't believe it's an option for his next fight, but certainly it's an option for 2024. I just think all parties involved have to be realistic in terms of what the split is going to be, who's the A side. I think everybody's going to have to make concessions. The way that, excuse me, the way that Bill and Devin have talked over the last couple of weeks, last few weeks, it would suggest that they believe that they're the A side in pretty much any situation outside of Gervonta Davis. And I don't believe that that's the case. I believe they're more of a 50-50 with like a Teo. I think they're the B side to Ryan. So they're going to have to make some concessions. And I think there's some opportunities for him to continue that ascension that he's on right now and get to exactly where he wants to get to. But I don't think he's quite there yet. Some people are going to think that's hate, but it's not hate. It's just it's my personal opinion, Jay. You may feel differently. But you guys tell us what you think in the comment section in regards to this particular fight. Is it possible that this fight can be made in 2024? If it is, who is the A side in this contest? And who do you have winning? Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast on Sports Media, and we are out.